In chapter 7, we saw Krishna telling Arjun that there is a block in most people understanding who I am, who Krishna is, what is that energy, that field of energy that is in us, around us, and in the universe, and yet we do not experience it, of course, because we are using only our gross senses, the outward senses. And therefore, in the 26th verse of 7th chapter, Bhagavan said, Mam tu vedana kaschana. Very rare is the man, if at all, one who really knows me. But why? Why is it's so difficult? So in the 27th verse, 7th chapter, Bhagavan himself answers his own question, and he says, इच्छा द्वेष समुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप. If there is something else that is already flooding the mind, where is there room for the Supreme Consciousness? I am already there. There is no room for the awareness of it, the learning of it. It's not that there is no room for consciousness, that can't be, because it already exists. There is just too much noise. As Raja Janak had told that sadhaka, that it is possible for us to have our obligations and our commitments and our engagements in the world to be there, because we cannot function without those, and nobody is asking us to give up those. All these commitments in sansar we can carry on like a bowl of oil, balance it so well that in the first round all our attention is on that sansari activities, on those activities of sansar in the first round. But with Raja Janak's guidance, we know that that bowl of oil is not all that we need to put our entire attention on. We have to be aware of ourselves, and therefore then the second round, as the sadhaka takes the bowl of oil around, he is balancing it pretty well. That means all his sansari duties, our own sansari duties, commitments, engagements, we can balance. Why? Because at the same time as we are balancing those duties, completing them, we can still be aware of the movement of our own mind. Where is the mind while we are in those activities, in those actions, in those interactions? Where is the mind? To observe it. Yes, we can be free. The mind is still free. And once we observe the mind, we still have a chance and that space in the mind to say, oh, the scripture said this is all Maya. This is Maya, and I can still create a distance between the actions of sansar and myself. And in fact, there is a distance, and that distance is called Vairag. So, while watching the mind and while reminding, when we watch the mind, it's easy to remind the mind that, look, you're just an onlooker, a spectator, a member of the audience in this drama, and so you can easily let go. Take it lightly, don't take it too seriously. Complete the duties anyway. Arjun, you cannot run away from the battle, not at all. That's not recommended. We will be headlong into all our duties, and at the same time, Bhagwan has reminded Arjun, if you remember, Arjun, that you are not just this role that you are accomplishing, just limited to that one single role. You are much bigger. You are actually part of the universe. Your consciousness is as expanded as infinity, and you as an observer of your actions are actually the observer, the sakshi, the infinite. And the moment you remember that, you can still be in the thick of the battle. That's the only thing he is saying. He's just saying that, yes, balancing the bowl of oil demands your attention, but the ultimate knowledge demands the ultimate attention. How can we even afford to keep our minds off that ultimate knowledge in everything that we do, in all our interactions? There's a part of the mind, a part of the brain which can still oversee everything that's going on. And that sakshi is me. That observer is actually me. The me meaning the true me, the actual me, not this Nam Roop person. Okay, so now, Mam tu Vedana Kaschana, nobody is able to know me, Krishna says, but I will still wait. I will wait unconditionally. Unconditionally, in the sense, yes, I don't require any conditions to be present in you, Arjun, and in everybody, and in the universe. I am there unconditionally. I am always there. Avyaya, Nityam, Avinashi. But the conditions are that you have to be Nitya Yukta, Eka Bhakta, attentive to me, only then you can find me. But what are my qualifications? What other qualifications do I need to know my own God, to know my own self? So, number 28. The qualifications are Yesham Tvantagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvandva Mohe Mohanirmuktaha Bhajante Mam Dridhavritaha. Read it again. Yesham Tvantagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvandva Mohanirmuktaha Bhajante Mam Dridhavritaha. Those men who are free from their sins and therefore they are punya karmanam, virtuous people, they can reach me. Oh my God. So what are the antagatam papam? How can I end my sins? And first of all, what are my sins? If I don't know them, I cannot end them. Because Arjun also must be thinking, look, God, Krishna, I am just a normal guy. I am doing all the normal things that are expected of me in this world. Yeah, I study, I gain my degree, I get a job, I get married, I have a family, and I care for my family, I care for my society. I look for a little bit of comforts and entertainment in the world, and I just want my peace and happiness, nothing more. I'm just a normal guy. Yeah, okay, fine. But what is this sin that you're talking about, Krishna? Yesham tvagatam papam, this pap. If I don't know, then even in my so-called normal life, I may be sinning. So, sinful is that. Sinful, pap, is that which keeps me away from my own truth. My own truth, we have already discussed many a time, is the real entity, that consciousness, that constant factor, that energy field in which we exist, through which we exist, and that is in and through us. That energy field, that consciousness is me, but I am not aware of it because my attention is outside. Bhagwan saying that is papam, that is sinful, because anything in the world, even your care for your family and your little businesses and professions, if all your attention is on that, then how can you ever find me? Because then it is all taking you away from me. And what are all these things? These all the extroversions of the world. That is, I must get this, I must avoid that, and therefore no energy left over for any kind of contemplation, meditation, scripture listening, and then contemplation again on this, what the scriptures say. It requires energy in no time. So Bhagavan saying, oh, that is papam. If you are leading an ordinary, J. Krishnamurti used to call it a mediocre life. He used to say, oh, you want to sink into mediocrity? And Krishna is using a stronger word. He said, oh, this is papam, because you are not desirous to know the ultimate truth. And all that we are busy with from childhood, because that's how we bring up our children and the next generation, is that it's important to satisfy the appetites of the body. Yeah, so you must have your food and your comfort, and it is important to satisfy the appetites of the mind, and the appetites of the body and mind keep growing as we grow up. So the appetites of the mind are that I must have relationships and appreciation and location, as they call it, a kind of acceptance in the world. And there are appetites of the intellect too. Appetites of the intellect to know, to have some knowledge about this or that. Let me know more about politics or society or human rights, or maybe just about some art or craft. Okay, so these are subjects of the world. They are all subjects of the world: physics, chemistry, biology, science, politics, sociology, economics, whatever you are studying, want to read about, literature. But they are not the ultimate knowledge about me. That's there only in the scriptures. So your intellect is also craving for knowledge, but knowledge that we are seeking is of the outside world. So Arjun may be thinking, so what? I'm okay. So what? So the result is that all the outward activities are gross, because the world is gross. It's made up of panchatattva, and our body, which is interacting with it, and mind, is made up of Panchatattva. And therefore, the impressions that all these activities leave will be naturally only gross. Where is the chance for the subtle truth, for the subtle seeking? So everything that which is gross will leave only a gross impression for the ensuing lives. And ensuing lives, there will be more pressure of the gross kind to be fulfilled, because vasanas are nothing but unfulfilled desires which are panting and craving to be, crying to be fulfilled life after life. So am I going to be trapped in this cycle? Well, in a way, if you wish, you can be trapped, but Bhagwan is given a window of chance. He says, Jananam punya karmanam. No, he says there are virtuous people. These are the virtuous people who do break out of this cycle of chasing the gross, remaining in the gross, in the Panchatattva, gross meaning the sthula world, not the sukshma, and they probably can do just 4 simple things. 4 simple things. If they do, they can move from the gross to the subtle, from the sthula to the sukshma. What are these? That instead of looking for happiness in the gross things, find happiness in detachment. Try it. Anytime that you give up something or drop something, an idea, a relationship, a business which is troubling too much, a profession, a boss who has been troubling a lot, or something that you wanted very much, and after some time you decided, no, I'm okay even without that. If I wanted a second home or a second car or something, and suddenly you drop it, it's called detachment. Bhagwan is saying, in detachment, suddenly realize how happy you can be. Find happiness in detachment. Asangata. Okay, point number 1. Point number 2, how else can I lessen the load of my gross vasana? That is, I stop hankering after all that is in the sansar. Moment the detachment comes, the first thing that comes to us is equanimity, samata, equanimity. And that is leading, these two are leading us closer and closer to our own ultimate truth, towards God, if you wish. And the third step is, all the impressions of the objects and experiences and things and relationships and situations and conditions of the outer world in which we are involved, all of these will leave some kind of impression on the mind. But you know what the mind does? It sits back and it starts nursing a hangover of all those impressions कि आज क्या हुआ, उसमें ये नहीं होना चाहिए था. So all the vastu, vyakti, parasthiti and ghatna impressions leave the hangover. All the situations are over, interactions are over, what you needed to do are over, it's all in the past. Do not have a hangover. Step number 3 was that. Step number 4, you will find that the moment you get detached, asangata, the moment you find that happiness, samata, the moment you have stopped having a hangover, that is for all things that happened in the past, and you're hanging on to it, what happens is you will have a kind of a natural attraction towards the ultimate knowledge. And that you may find through anything. You may join a yoga course in Ashtang Yoga, maybe join a big sanstha to learn Surya Namaskar, Sudarshan Kriya. You may join some mission to learn one of the Upanishads. You may learn scriptures, or you may take up a Gita class. You may do it online, offline, form a group, do a satsang. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you still have a natural attraction, and you're hanging on somehow through some instrument to that ultimate truth. Only 4 steps needed to lessen the load of this gross vasana of the gross world, the sthula impressions of the sthula world. Asangata, detachment. Samata, in chapter 2 also he had said, Bhagwan had said to Arjun, Samadukhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papama vapsyasi. This is the only way. When you are sama, equanimous in sukha and dukha equally, all situations will come and go anyway. When you are sama, equanimous, then papama vapsyasi, you go beyond pap. So when you say, okay, I'm a normal guy just doing normal things, Bhagavan says, let's redefine what this normal is. What is normal for you is a kind of staying away from the highest truth, which may be defined by Krishna as Papa. And he says, yes, that Punya Karmanam are the people who do the righteous things by being a little detached, a little Vairagi, a little Viveki, distinguishing between Sat Asat, that is Viveki, and having a little desire for moksha and having some kind of a sense control and mind control. These are the people I love. He had already mentioned that I love these Gyanis and they love me. So what is so difficult about this? The moment we start chasing out in the world of situations and experiences, I want to travel here, there, have this relationship, that profession, that job, everything costs me a lot. Costs me time, energy, and even wealth, maybe. But what about detachment, asangata, samata, and vairagya? And what about these things? They are free. So the moment you say I have a natural attraction for the ultimate knowledge, that means your mind wants to repose, to rest, to find solace in that ultimate knowledge. Whenever we hear it, we will find that there is solace in it, there is comfort in it, and our mind will revel in that knowledge. That reveling is called rati. Rati. So Vivek, Vairagya, Samata and Rati, reveling in the ultimate knowledge, is it? What does it cost? Nothing. It's free. All these are free. And yet we don't seek them. We seek the very costly things of the outside world. And therefore in line 2 of verse 28, Bhagavan says, Te dvandva moha nirmuktaha. So what do I get if I practice these 4 or 5 things? Well, you are going to be द्वंद्व, that is likes and dislikes का जो duality है, द्वंद्व, you will be muktaha, free from raga dvesha. Have your faith in the highest, you will find the highest. Have your faith in the world, you will acquire this and that from the world, no problem. Even if I acquire a Mercedes now, or a Lamborghini, or a Maserati, so what? There is still a dead end at the end of it, isn't it? So yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddharchitu michhati. What you seek, you will find. Now my experience is to look out in objects, experiences and things. So I will get objects, experiences and things. Finished. Where is God? No, God is not there in my framework. It's only OET, objects, experiences and things. And how do I seek it? With my BMI, body, mind and intellect. So I am only an experiencer, perceiver and thinker. That's all. My entity is only that. Bhagavan says no, that is pap. To limit yourself when you have the capacity to be the infinite and yet to live at a lower level is pap. Okay, we just redefine it. What are the gifts I will get? What is the reward I am going to get? Everyone wants to know. If I make this effort, certainly, Bhagavan has said many a times, you will get a mind which is sthita pragya, which is contemplative, quiet, because the oscillations of the mind have been quietened. By whose effort? By your own effort. All the oscillations, when they are quietened, you have a quiet, contemplative mind. And a mind which is quiet, samadukhe same kritva, which is sama in sukha and dukha, such a mind is actually liberated. Liberated from what? From its dependence on situations and people and their reactions and their actions and circumstances and situations and the amount of wealth I need, the amount of comfort. Everything is outside and my dependence on it is gone. Whatever happens, in whatever form it happens, I am okay because I am already complete. Who says this? The Punya Karmanam, the one who is a virtuous person with his virtuous deeds. He understands this. So liberated mind, not dependent on outer things, and knowing very well that even though I am involved in the world, I am consciousness alone, and consciousness is the only satya that is true of me, of God, of everything, of the universe. And only then you're going to attain me. Bhajante mam dridhavritaha. It is not going to be easy. You have to be drid. Dridhavritaha means with your firm resolve. Unless you have a firm resolve. And Bhagwan is hammering this point home. He has mentioned it over and over again. Nitya yukta eka bhaktihi. But yes, again Arjun needs a reminder that you have to be dridhavritaha. That means you have to be firm in your resolve. Seek me. Bhagwan is saying. Bhajante mam. Seek me. Dridhavritaha. Okay, so sometimes we think that seeking God is equal to blind worship, superstition, andhavishwas, and some rituals and some practices and some worship with some expectations. Artharthi, aapko yaad hoga, Artharthi, I want this, I want that, worshipping with expectations. Bhagwan is saying no, that is not bhajan, that is not my bhajan. उस तरह से आप मेरा भजन नहीं कर सकते हो. You have to seek me only and only in the ultimate truth, my presence. How can I find it? I cannot find it in the tirth and rituals and havan and puja and all. All that will purify my mind, but if I seek only myself, ekant mein, then I need to be only with myself. If I need to seek God, I need to be only with God. And that is, for both you need ekant. Ekant in contemplation, not ekant with a noisy mind, not ekant with a restless mind, not ekant with a very bitter and reactive mind. I'm reacting to everything. But that kind of ekant is not what he is suggesting. In fact, only and only Gyan, not blind worship, not tirtha, not any outer ritual is going to take you to me. Bhagwan is saying, Bhajante mam dridhavritaha, only and only Gyan. So seek only Gyan and contemplate only on Gyan. In the 4th chapter, actually Bhagwan had already said, 4th chapter 38, that nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vedyate. There is nothing other than Gyan that can purify you. Nothing can purify the way Gyan can. Dridhavritaha. So occasionally we may want to dabble in it, but no occasional dabbling. We may like to underline that word Dridhavritaha. That Bhagwan has mentioned. And why don't we remember that whether we do Dridhavritaha bhajan of Bhagwan or not, life is going to melt away anyway. Life is going to melt away in any case. So why not live like a candle? That is also burning out. We are also burning out. But a candle gives out light till the last moment. That means we can share our knowledge, our wealth, our whatever, ourselves with the world, be of some use. What about ice cream? Ice cream is also melting, but it is melting with the enjoyment of the bhogi, the one who is enjoying it. So we may melt away our lives like ice cream. That is with bhoga, lots of bhoga and enjoyment. That's also happening. Or like a candle. That is our choice. So the moment we move out of our self-centeredness and the pettiness of our own minds and egos and ahankar, then we can live like a candle while giving out light. We still exist as people, bodies which are going to decay in any case. Life is going to melt in any case. Now, okay, what is in the heart? What is the motive of those people who are worshipping only me? So listen. Jara marana mokshaya, number 29, verse chapter 7. Jara marana mokshaya mamakshitya yatantiye te brahma tadviddu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. I'll read again. Jara marana mokshaya mamashritya yatantiye te brahma tadviddu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. Those who strive for liberation. Liberation from what? All of us want freedom from things that trouble us. Sickness, old age, death. We want to be away from it and actually be above it, liberated from it. Bhagwan says, yeah, you take refuge in me, na? Take refuge in me. Mamash ashritya yatantiye. So those who take refuge in me, they are actually beyond death and decay and disease. Is that so? So people feel very happy and they think that their bodies are not going to decay, their bodies are not going to die, their bodies are not going to be in pain. No, 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 that's not what Bhagwan is promising. Bhagwan is also saying, yes, you will go beyond all these, because you will find te brahma tad viddu kritsnam. You will have the entire knowledge of what is Brahman. What is Brahman, that ultimate truth. Once you know Brahman, you cannot be troubled by the petty sorrows of the body. So that's verse 29. And Arjun's, what must be going on in Arjun's mind? That look, I have to fight a battle, and in the battle I know that I'm going to cause sorrow, because I'm going to have to kill those who are ranged against me, and it just so happens that those who are ranged against me are my own grandsires and granduncles and cousins. Some of them are beloved cousins and my teachers, of course, and I have to bring dharma in this battle of the Kauravas, which they are fighting for adharma. I have to. That's my duty. And this world is all about aggression and competition and winning. Even if it is to bring dharma, it is still a world of competition. War is nothing but competition. And Arjun's mind must be saying, oh Bhagwan, and you're saying just be silent, just be contemplative, just be detached. So I'm sure we are representing Arjun actually, and that's what's going on in our minds, that how in heaven can I function in this world which is so aggressive and racing to be ahead of me in everything and so competitive, and yet you're saying withdraw, be detached, be contemplative, be silent, just come to me, mujhme sharan lo, maam ashritya. So फिर that means कि is it time for me to pack up the Vedanta and get out of the rat race? क्योंकि all around me तो rat race है. अगर मैं rat race में हूँ तो I should pack up Vedanta, or I should be ready to be stampeded by all those who are racing ahead of me in this sansar and moving ahead. Okay, if that is going on in the mind of the listener of the Gita through Krishna's words, then, and we are all people of action. Arjun was a man of action. We can't blame him for thinking in such a way. Bhagwan is saying, look, he's not saying, but Bhagwan probably implies that, look, I am not giving you this knowledge in an ashram. I am not giving you this knowledge in the quiet of a Parnakuti or a monastery. I am giving you this highest knowledge where? In the battlefield. We are all in that battlefield. We all have so many obligations and commitments and pulls and pushes of the sansar. अरे मैं इसमें फंसा हुआ हूँ, मेरी फैमिली, प्रोफेशन, ये वो, पैसा, उसके बाद मुझे आराम भी चाहिए, थोड़ा एंटरटेनमेंट भी चाहिए, मेरा मन उतना सात्विक नहीं हुआ है कि मैं उठ के फिर से पढ़ाई करना. इट इज़ नॉट रेजर शार्प एंड रेडी. एंड क्यों? क्योंकि मेरा मन ऑलरेडी इट हैज़ बिकम शिथिल एंड वेरी टायर्ड फ्रॉम बीइंग इन द रैट रेस. Bhagwan is saying, that's why I am bringing the knowledge to you in the battlefield, Arjun. Otherwise, I could have given all this knowledge to everyone, even the Kauravas, when they were in the ashram, when they were in the Brahmacharya ashram. Kyun nahi? Because it's in the battlefield, in the midst of sansar, that we most need it. It doesn't mean that when Bhagwan says in the battlefield, withdraw, he doesn't mean withdraw from the battle. He says, keep one part of your mind withdrawn and detached from jo bhi hoga, whether it is success or failure, high or low. Keep that part detached, and this knowledge you need only in the battlefield. You don't need it when everything is fine and you're securely sitting down with no obligations, no commitments in an ashram. We need it most right now. And therefore, this withdrawing, this detachment, this vairagya, is it going to make me incompetent, inefficient, ineffective in this world? Because I have to be competent. And Arjun is, of course, the most competent of archers and warriors. Bhagwan says, do you realize that when you have realized the ultimate truth of who you are, then you don't have a fear of loss or failure or setbacks, and you are equanimous, you are sum in all these, and your mind is not fazed by it. And therefore, what happens to your mind? In realizing this highest truth, your mind becomes self-controlled. And a mind which is self-controlled and silent is razor sharp and ready to do what action needs to be done. And therefore, such a man of philosophy is actually going to be more competent, more efficient, more effective in the world, Arjun. So do not think that when I speak about, do not misunderstand when I say detach and become equanimous and contemplative. It is going to make your mind sharp, sukshma, and therefore you can give all your energy and attention to what you're doing, even in sansar. So even in sansar, you're going to be an integrated and excellent personality. Excellent meaning achieving excellence. What does it mean? Te brahma tad viddu kritsnam. You'll realize that full Brahman and Adhyatmam karma chakhilam. Adhyatmam, you will also have the complete knowledge of yourself and all your actions. Chakhilam, akhilam. So if you are aware of everything and in control and command of everything, including your own thoughts, your own mind, because you know who you are going to be actually more integrated, more efficient. So this is Bhagwan's reassurance. Adhyatmam karma chakhilam. Very, very efficient in everything. So am I going to lose my individuality? Who am I? Yes, you may be Arjun, you may be Falan, you may be with the degrees acquired from some foreign Ivy League university abroad, and with so many years of experience and accolades. Yeah, sure. But Arjun, that is not your entire personality. That river, when it flows into the ocean and it merges into the ocean, it does not say, oh, I have lost my identity. मेरा नाम गंगा था, गोदावरी था, और मैं, do you know the splendor of Mandakini and Alaknanda in the higher reaches of the Himalayas? लोग मुझे देखने आते थे. Yes, there is a splendor in that, but the ultimate goal of even Mandakini, आप रुद्रप्रयाग कभी जाइए, रुद्रप्रयाग या देवप्रयाग, मंदाकिनी अलकनंदा की जो उन्माद है, that kind of the kind of beauty, the kind of power that they hold. Yes, we still have names for them because they are distinct from the ocean. But they don't wait. They don't say, हाँ मुझे देखो, मेरे साथ सेल्फी लो. सेल्फी लेने वाले हैं लोग, लेकिन by the time they take the selfie, the river is 2 kilometers downstream. It's not the same river that you are taking the selfie in. Old Buddhist koan. और वहाँ रुकती नहीं है, चाहे जितनी भी ग्लोरियस उसकी पर्सनालिटी, उसका पास्ट, गंगोत्री से निकले हैं भाई, यू हैव टू प्रे टू मी. ओके फाइन, यू आर द मोस्ट प्रेड रिवर इन द वर्ल्ड, बट it does not give a second glance at the back and it goes straight for the ocean. And with what speed, with what fervor, with what dridhavritaha, with what dridhta. That is the very nature of every one of us, because our only goal is to merge. अब रिवर जब इतनी शिद्दत से ओशन में मिलने जा रही है, तो ओशन में मिलने के बाद कहेगी, अरे मेरा तो कोई अस्तित्व रहा ही नहीं. नाउ नो वन नोज मी, आई हैव मर्ज्ड इनटू ओशन. नो वन नोज मी एज अ गंगा और अ गोदावरी और एन अलकनंदा. Yes, nobody knows you, but it's not that you become a nobody. You become complete and whole. That is the beauty of merging, and that wholeness and completeness is what Bhagavan is saying. Tad viddu kritsnam. Completeness is what I promise you. अब हम क्या देखते हैं कि if I have not been able to influence enough people, if I have not been able to do enough, I am not efficient in the world. You can be efficient within your own sphere of work. So even if I am a carpenter or a mason, that mason can spend his entire life building walls for the temples and building, but where is his mind? His mind is on that ultimate, कि मैं भगवान में merged हूँ, and he creates the most beautiful perfect temples. तो भगवान को ध्यान में रखते हुए या अपना ट्रूथ ध्यान में रखते हुए हम दुनिया में बहुत एफिशिएंट हो सकते हैं. नहीं तो फिर एफिशिएंट कैसे नहीं होते. जीसस क्राइस्ट, जब उन्होंने, he traveled only for about 1.5 years, and he traveled barely from Jerusalem to Bethlehem. ठीक है, and maybe to Egypt, that's all. He's not a much traveled person, doesn't have a great network, doesn't have headquarters, doesn't have a great number of followers, but it's a world religion. Why? Because he was speaking only and only the truth. What about Muhammad? He traveled barely from the mountains of Sinai to Mecca and Medina. Finished, ashte, no headquarters, and not too many followers in the beginning. In fact, they had to contend with a lot of opposition. They are the influencers of the world. और आप कह रहे हैं कि अगर हम परम सत्य को जान ले तो हम दुनिया में एकदम निष्क्रिय हो जाएंगे, इनकॉम्पिटेंट, नॉट फिट फॉर द वर्ल्ड, क्योंकि ये वर्ल्ड तो रैट रेस है, मुझे स्टैम्पीड करके आगे निकल जाएगी. बट व्हाट इज इट दैट यू आर सीकिंग? So even though Jesus Christ and Muhammad were not treated very well, they knew what their goal is. That's why they were not bothered. Why was Jesus Christ so silent? Why was he silent? Because he knew that he was born 2000 years too early for people to understand his truth. कि मैं बहुत जल्दी पैदा हो गया हूँ, इनको तो समझ में आएगा नहीं, तो forgive them Lord, for they know not what they do, and what they are doing is torturing my body. But I am not my body. आप चाहे जितने नेल्स उसमें ठोक दो क्रॉस में मेरे हाथ के साथ, बट आई एम नॉट द बॉडी. सो माई बॉडी सफर्स, येस इट हर्ट्स, बट आई एम नॉट द बॉडी. यू कैन नॉट डिस्ट्रॉय मी, यू कैन नॉट हर्ट मी, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट द बॉडी. तो ये जीसस क्राइस्ट को जब मालूम था तो ही वॉज साइलेंट ना. तो हम उस साइलेंस में भी अपने भगवान के साथ रह सकते हैं और अपने सत्य के साथ रह सकते हैं. दुनिया चाहे जो बोले कि हम वी आर नॉट so-called successful, materially successful in the world. Buddha also traveled only from Varanasi to Sarnath after he gained enlightenment at Bodh Gaya. Only from Varanasi to Sarnath. And how many followers? He had the greatest teaching under his hat. And he taught 5. How many? 5 disciples. And today most of Southeast Asia is Buddhist. तो हाउ कैन वी रिलेट नोइंग द ट्रूथ और ट्रूथ में रति रहना. आई लव दिस वर्ड, रति रहना, टू रिवेल इन द ट्रूथ और इनकॉम्पिटेंस को साथ में कैसे देख सकते हैं? दे आर नॉट रिलेटेड एट ऑल. सो व्हेन वी आर एंकर्ड टू द हाईएस्ट ट्रूथ, वी विल रीच वेयर वी हैव टू रीच. मटेरियली चाहे इस दुनिया में हम औरों की नज़र में सक्सेसफुल, सो कॉल्ड सक्सेसफुल हो या ना हो, हमारी सक्सेस की अगर परिभाषा बदल गई, देन आई डोंट केयर. परिभाषा ही जब सेम नहीं है, सो वाई शुड वी बी इन द सेम स्टैम्पीड, राइट? अगर हमने अपनी राह नहीं बदली आज, and we are still in that rat race and in the same stampede, then as Shankaracharya had said, punarapi jananam punarapi maranam punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Again the pangs and the pain of birth, again and again. Every time we are born, there are pangs of birth to the mother and the child. Iha sansare bahu dostare kripaya pare pahi murare. You have one chance to go beyond it. Okay, continuing the same idea, Bhagwan concludes in the final chapter, final verse number 30. साधि भूतादि दैवं मां साधि यज्ञं च ये विदुः प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः. This is actually a precursor. In the scriptures there was a style of writing where the end of the one chapter would be an introduction to the following chapter. So chapter 8 is now going to talk about what is my what am I made up of, who am I. Those who know me, they know me as elements, Adibhutam, Adibhutadi Daivam, and those who know me, they also know me as Adi Devam, Adi Bhutam, and Adi Yagyam. These are 3 words which are going to come in chapter 8, and therefore they're just being sort of introduced in chapter 7. So this is an excellent style of teaching which was adopted by the scriptures. So men of wisdom know and they are aware of this chain. Chain of what? That I am Adibhutam, I am the essence, I am all the elements, I am the senses, and I, that is Krishna, the ultimate, I'm talking about the ultimate truth, consciousness. I am also the Adi Yagyam, stimuli. Why is it called Yagyam? Because Yagya is a kind of place where you put ghee and oblations और उससे आग और भड़कती है। तो ये जो दुनिया है, इसमें जितनी भी चीज़ें हम दुनिया की भोग करते हैं, वो उस आग में यज्ञ का काम करती है। कौन से यज्ञ में? संसार के यज्ञ में। एंड इट्स अ स्टिम्युलाई, और वो एंड ऑल द सेंसेस देन sort of absorb what the stimuli from the world is. The stimuli is all the yagya, and the senses then refer to the brain, the mind. Sorry, brain is not a word used in the scriptures. The mind, and then the mind and the intellect then refers. There's a reference point. वो क्या है? भूलिएगा मत। बहुत ज़रूरी है। बैक एंड कोडिंग, मेमोरी कोडिंग, बैक एंड में जो वासना है उसको रेफरेंस करता हुआ फिर वो रिएक्ट करता है कि अच्छा मेरी वासना में क्या है, सबकॉन्शियस में क्या है, फिर रिएक्शन होता है, एंड द साइकिल गोज ऑन। प्रयाण काले अपि, दोज हु रिमेंबर कि मैं इस राग द्वेष के परे मैं भी कुछ और हूँ। प्रयाण काले, एट द एंड ऑफ द लाइफ ऑल्सो, इफ़ यू रिमेंबर दिस and you are able to turn your attention at any point in your life, late in life or end of life, then yukta chetasah, steadfast in me. It's never too late. It's never too late. You can still be yukta chetasah. At some point you will come to know me. So such a person, how does he live? He lives without great attachment, nor with any great hatred. So a kind of dynamic living, more razor sharp and dynamic, because there's nothing to hate, nothing to love, nothing to crave for, nothing to resist. So all the energy is saved, and then at the same time not withdrawing from one's duty. So what we'll do is we will continue in chapter 8 about how can I reach this highest entity. तत्सदिति ओम तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ज्ञानविज्ञानयोगो नाम सप्तमोऽध्यायः. End of सप्तमोऽध्याय, the 7th chapter.